Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Michael, KE4EST. And we are finally back here with this Channel Master multiband radio. This is the model 6247. I've just about got this finished up here. So I just wanted to kind of make this video kind of go over the alignment of it and show you that a little bit. Now if you missed the first video, I'll link it down below, or you can click up right in there somewhere and click on it and watch the first one. This thing's been a little bit of a project, but with having the other unit, taking two and putting them together, making one, it's coming along pretty good. So like I said, I'm gonna go through the alignment on this. I have hunted trying to find schematics and everything on this, and I tried everything I can think of and couldn't find any, even emailed a couple of people. Nope, we ain't got no other sources except for the Sam's PhotoFax. I think that's what it's called. The old Howard W. Sams and Company PhotoFax. And so I had to pay for them. So I'm not going to put the schematic up because I don't really know the legality of all that and how that works, and it's probably fine, but we'll just to be safe. But I do have the schematic and the alignment procedure and all that, and this schematic is labeled 1971, so that tells you about what year, this came out. And I knew it was somewhere around early 70s probably. So but I've got the alignment instructions here. I'm going to kind of go through that. Now what I've got set up here is I've got the signal generator. I've got it fed. I've got it fed to a loop of wire. Actually what I've got is got an alligator test clip lead. It's about, I don't know, a couple foot long or something, or 18 inches long, and got it wrapped around a bunch of times and slid that over the antenna. And one end's going to the ground, the other end's going to the the signal side of the signal generator. So I've got that. So I've got that run in. If you see you probably see the frequency counter in the background. That's my frequency counter that's dead on with the GPS. So I'm making sure the signal generator is dead on. I don't have it set up like that. Can't see the whole display, but that's what's going on there to make sure that's running. And then for all these tests, at least for the first section, I'm not going to go over the whole complete thing. I'm just going to give you an idea of how to go through the alignment and go through the AM section of this radio. Because it's got the AM and the shortwave, and then it's got the public service bands up in the 2 meters and all that, up at 100 and so megacycles and all that. But I'm just going to concentrate on the AM section. So what I've got, so you feed a signal generator like that. That way it's loosely coupled to it. It's not directly coupled, directly hooked into the circuit. And then I've got my vacuum tube voltmeter coming off of the speaker jack. Run up to that, and I've also got an oscilloscope hooked up, and I'll show you both ways. So that's all you need to do. Set up like that. If you got some alignment tools, turn the radio on, turn the volume all the way up, put it on AM. AM radio is a good radio to just take a little portable AM radio, tune it someplace in the band that ain't got a signal coming in, a local AM station, and you can walk around your house or somewhere trying to find interference, and you can and you say, aha. Or go outside and walk around like underneath, and say, well, I must have a really bad transformer on this pole because it's roaring bad. So they're bad to pick up interference, so you might hear a little bit of that. Because I've got all kinds of things running here in the shop here. But anyway, let's get to it. And I'll go over here now. Why they've got it here, they're showing it what you gotta do, step 1, step 2, all the way down, and all these coils and capacitors in here, these cans, these little variable capacitors and all that. You know, they do have on the schematic, it'll say C1 or C10, or this is L5 or L12 or whatever. But to make it easy, they also have a diagram that shows you where everything is, and they'll have it like, it'll say this is A12 and this is A3, and it'll be A all the way down, and that's just alignment points is what they're calling it. It's A1 through A32, and that's just your alignment points. So when I say A1, you might, I don't want you to think, if you're new to this and say, well, it looks like he's tuning a capacitor. I thought capacitors was labeled C or whatever, but it's just alignment points. And we got A1 through A32, but we're just going to be working on the first section, the AM section. Okay, and you want to make sure you're using some kind of a plastic alignment tool. Now this one here's got a little metal tip in it, which should be fine. But you got to be very careful, especially these cans here. If you're down in there and you're adjusting that, and sometimes over the years they'll get kind of hard to adjust. Some is really stiff. You don't want to take a regular screwdriver. Here's a regular screwdriver. I've just put some heat shrinking on it when I'm in the high voltage section of something. But you don't want to just take a regular old screwdriver and stick in there, because that powdered iron slug, you can break it off real easy. It'll crumble and break, and then you got big problems, because sometimes these old parts, they're not obtainable anymore, or you have to modify. If you really want to get the thing going again and do it right, you'll have to modify the circuit a little bit to find, IF can or something as close as you can, and so it can make a lot of headache. Or sometimes it can just make it where you just can't align it, and if you don't have the money or the means or whatever or to know how to make what you've got with modern day parts work in it or something, whatever you can find, then you may have it where you can't get it going. So be very careful with that, and always use something plastic. And I'm going to use this here because sometimes they can be a little bit stiff, but it's plastic all the way up here, because I don't want to take something metal. For one, like I said, you don't want to break those slugs. For two, if it's metal, it's going to be like an antenna that's going to pick up to my hand, and it's going to come up my arm. I'm going to be an antenna, so any interference or anything around as I'm adjusting that, and then I'll get it right where I want it, and then I'll let go, and then it'll change. And so if you do that, you're like, what in the world? So you go back and you adjust it and get it right on it, and that ain't what. Why ain't it staying? Because it's picking up, the AC in the room, whatever. So use plastic on that, and you can start off with something like this here. This is pure plastic, or you can use ceramic. There's ceramic alignment tools. If you get one that's a little bit rough. So I'm gonna start with this. It's got a metal tip in it. It only goes like right there. That's it. There's not, this whole thing down there is not metal all the way in. It's just a little bitty, it's just the tip. It's just a little piece of metal that's inserted about that far in. Okay. So it's not a big, going to be a big antenna for my hand to be around it or whatever. But if this gets where it's going to be really hard, even with this metal, I'll probably switch over to a really hard plastic, or get one of my ceramic ones out and be careful, but hopefully it won't be that way. And a lot of times these here in the 70s, if nobody's been in here, you probably heard they'll saying screwdrivering it up. If nobody's been in here tinkering with it, screwdrivering it, it's going to probably be pretty close. And I thought about going in here and really twisting these things way out just to show you a bad alignment and let's put it back. But you can still get the idea of what's going on and what to do. Alright, so let's get to it here. So step one, it starts at the top. It says check for a specified voltage source, set the volume control at maximum, fashion a loop of several turns of wire and connect the generator across the loop. Okay, that's what I've done. Use only enough generator output to obtain a suitable indication. You don't want to overload your front end or blow a transistor or something that's really cranking up. If you got a really good high-powered, signal generator, you don't want to use any more than you have to. Plus, you can start getting distortion too, and it makes it harder to align. So use only enough generator output to obtain a suitable indication. So we start off with, we're going another thing I was going to say too, I've got, like I said, I've got it across the speaker going up to the vacuum tube voltmeter. And I've got a dummy load, 8 ohm dummy load and 4 ohm dummy load that I thought about disconnecting the speaker and hooking up to, so I ain't got to hear the woo, drive you crazy. But I thought about that, and I think I mentioned it in one of the other videos I done. I think it helps out, especially somebody who's not done a whole lot of this, or if you're new to doing this, to actually hear what's going on. So maybe it won't drive you crazy. Maybe you can turn your volume down a little bit while I'm doing this part if it's going to bother you. But I'm going to leave the speaker hooked up as the load, like which it would be anyway. And I'm going to show you on the vacuum tube voltmeter, and I'm going to show you on the oscilloscope. Now, the VTVM I've got set right now at 1.5 volts. I may bump up to 5 volt setting, and it's in the AC mode. And then the oscilloscope, you just kind of set it up. AC, signal input, I've got it set right now for 0.5 volt per division, vertical. Horizontal, you just have to, adjust. It's not exactly a science exactly. It needs to be a certain way. You just kind of have, you can see a good waveform. Because what you're going to look for is that waveform to get bigger and smaller. It's not a whole lot to it, but I was going to show you if you just don't happen to have an analog meter, because you need an analog AC voltmeter. VTVM works great, but I know this day and time, a lot of people, everything's digital, and if you don't have that's something else you need to put on your list. If you're going to start doing this seriously, you need one. You need an analog meter. So it's so much easier to read. If you're looking at digital, it's just a blur of digits, and it's really hard. You can do it, but it's a real pain in the butt to try to use a digital meter to align something like this. You can't watch that needle move, nice and smoothly. It's just everything's jumping around those digits. Or if you don't have that, maybe if somebody's got an oscilloscope, you can use an oscilloscope. So I'm going to show you on the oscilloscope here too. All right, step 1. It says to put it in AM mode, turn it on. Let's share here. I'm already getting interference somewhere here. Turn it on, turn the volume up. Set your signal generator to 455 kilocycles with a 400 hertz modulation. Tuning gang fully open. And like in this, here's your tuning gangs up here. The old, radios and stuff, you could see them. Well, I'm already getting interference from something here. But the old radios, you could see them, right? You could see the tuning capacitor in there as it meshes and opens up. And this you can't really see. So, just turn that down just a second here. You can't really see it. So, fully open would be the highest frequency. So, around on the front here, I've got this set up, all the way up as far as it'll go, up to around 1600 or a little past 1600 kilocycles. Just put your meter or oscilloscope across the voice coil, which I've done, and it says adjust A1 through A3 in this procedure, and adjust for maximum, and just repeat until no further improvement can be made. So you want to do A1, A2, A3, A1, A2, A3. Just kind of go around until you can't get it any better. Okay, and so for this here, A1 is right here, and this one beside it over here to the left of it's A2, and then A3 is right here, because I'm going to put the camera on the meter. But if you hear me say A1, A2, A3, okay, so let's bring the camera around, and we'll start off with it on the VTVM. That glare out there, so you can kind of see that right there. So So I'm going to turn the volume back up. So hopefully I don't drive you too crazy, but I'm going to kind of try to talk over it as I go. But the volume's up now. I've got the generator in standby, so I'm going to turn it on. Yeah, I don't know why I had it on 1.5, but anyway, it's on 5 volts now. Watch that. I'm going to start A1. That's pretty close, wouldn't it? Like I said, most of these are probably pretty close. Okay, now going to A2. That was just some interference. I think that was actually my cell phone. Alright, then I'm going to A3. And then what you would do is do that around and around and around till you can't get it. Like I said, anybody go back to A1, A2, A3 with that tone still going. And I think I mentioned that's a 400 hertz modulated tone on the riding on the 455 kilohertz signal. If your signal generator is 500 hertz, or 300 hertz, or 450, or somewhere around, I mean that's going to be fine too. So you would do that around and around and around until you get it good. And I can show you what it's going to look like on the scope because I only went through it one time. So let's turn it back on. Yeah, the trigger's not exactly locking. You see how I go way off of it, how it gets smaller. If I go off of it, watch that waveform, watch the peaks. Like that. A3. See how big it gets. Okay. Now that's the first part of it. The next part of it says, step 2, it says set the signal generator to 1605 kilocycles. So let me do that. Okay, I've got it set, the signal generator set to 1605. Still the tuning gang fully open still. And adjust to A4 for maximum with everything still set across the voice coil and all that. And A4, see that this here is A4 and it's a variable capacitor. And then A5 is back here behind it, another variable capacitor. Let's see. A6 will be the other one we mess with. This can right here is A6. Okay. So I'll go back and put you back on the meter here, and we're going to do A4. Okay, which is this little capacitor right here. Let's see. I'm going to change alignment tools to something different. What I'm going to be using is an all plastic one. Alright, let's see. Turn the volume back up. Okay, right there. Alright. The next step, it says, now this last two steps here, to complete the this part of it, of the AM section, we're going to set up the dial accuracy, the dial scale. So, like I would say on this VTVM we're looking at here, say this over here is 600 AM, this over here is, say where this 50 is, that's 5,000 AM, say that was such a thing. For a broadcast band anyway. Say I tune in and I'm on, well, let's just say this one here is 1,000 AM. And say I've tuned in, and I know I got a local station, it's 1,000 AM, I've tuned it in, I'm listening to it, and I know I'm on the station, but here's where my dial is right here, where this needle's pointing. And you're like, well, I know that's 1,000, but why am I reading about 900 or 800 or whatever that would be? That's because your dial tracking is off. And so these next two adjustments are going to set the dial tracking. Okay. So the first one says here so it's going to be a coil and a capacitor. So the first one's a capacitor, then we're going to do a coil. So it says set the signal generator to 1400 kilocycles and tune your dial to 1400 kilocycles, and then adjust A5 for maximum like we did everything else. So what you want to do is go on the front of the radio, which I'm getting ready to do. I'm going to set it right on, which you won't be able to see. I've got it turned around here and wires going everywhere, but I'm going to adjust that so that pointer's lined right up. You know, I want it lined right up with best as I can, right on. I'm going to move it back and forth, put it right on where 1400 is. And then I'm going to set the signal generator for 1400 kilocycles, and we're going to adjust for maximum so that we can get it lined up. So when I'm on 1400, I'm on 1400. And then we're going to do 600 the same way, but 600 will be adjusting the capacitor in the back there, the A6 I was showing you. Okay, so let's go to, okay, so I've got the signal generator on 1400. Now I'm going to put the dial on 1400. Okay, I've got that dial right on 1400. That's pretty close, ain't it? So, all kinds of stuff I've got here causing interference. Now I'm going to adjust A5 for maximum. So there I got the top end of the band. So now I want to put the signal generator on 600 kilocycles. Okay, I've got the signal generator on 600 kilocycles, but now I want to go in front of the radio and adjust it and tune the knob down till it's right on 600. Okay, that's a bit of a chore, because I have to turn it around and look. You want to look dead at it and make sure it's right on it, you know. Now some people say, a little bit close, it's alright, it's analog, and yeah, it might be, but if you're trying to do it right and get it done as good as you can, because that's when you're doing this stuff, you want to do everything as best as you can to your ability and the best of what equipment you got, and do it the best. And I always have that attitude and not, well, that's good enough. So I've got it lined up right now on 600. I've got the signal generator set on 600, and so I'm going to adjust A6 for the maximum, and that will be the coil I was showing you in front there. So let's do that now. back on standby. And that lines up the bottom portion of the band. So now, and you can go back and check it, but now if you set the signal generator to 1,000 and put the, when you tune the dial to 1,000, you should get your maximum indication on 1,000. So, and then it says at this point to go back to step 2 and do that again, where we set our signal generator 1605 kilocycles, tuning gang fully open, adjust A4, and go back to 1400 kilocycles, adjust A5, back to 600 kilocycles, adjust A6, and do that 2 or 3 times before you're completely done with the AM section. But I don't want to, for the sake of the video, you know, go through all that again and again and again and all that. But anyway, so there's the alignment portion of the Channel Master 6247 6-band radio, and I'll have another video I'll come in with showing everything complete and done and ta-da on in the next for this series. So I hope this helped somebody up and hope you enjoyed it. And until the next video, this is Michael, KE4EST 73.